Respected faculty members and research scholars, a very good evening to one and all. Uh, I welcome you all once again to a Q&A session uh, for the first day, FDP Day 1 on Post-Humanism, a Revelation or Revolution by Dr. S. Veeramani, Assistant Professor in English, Government Arts College, Pulikalai, who has consented to give a short, brief session answering all the questions that were asked during the live webinar, which was conducted on the first day, that is 13th July. We have with us Dr. Veeramani sir, who is now going to answer all your queries. Over to you, Savita ma'am.
Yes, Walter, thank you. Sir, there is a participant named Ganesh Nagapan has asked a question. Could you list out the modern writers of post-humanism after 2000 for doing research?
Okay, ma'am. First of all, I have to thank Dr. Savita and Dr. Walter for having given one more session. It's one more session. I'm very pleasure to have this session. Actually, what that person asked this question is in 2000 and after 2000, the writers of post-humanism after 2000 and in 2000. It means indirectly that is the 20th century scenario. In the 20th century scenario, we have writers like Kurt Vonnegut and Curtis and then William Gibson, and these writers are very much popular in writing the post-humanism and so on. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ramanan, a participant, has asked, what is the end of post-humanism? What will come next?
Yeah, for this question, actually, the end of a post-humanism, we find it very difficult to predict the end of a post-humanism in future, because we do not know how technology is blooming like anything else. Okay. At the same time, many more research scholars of AI and also the computer technocrats, they are doing some researches on this post-humanism and so on. So they could not predict what is going to happen in future. So that is the thing. I am talking about the reality in future. And what is the next point? He asked that.
He has asked, what will come next? What do you think will come
Actually,
next?
yeah, that is why I am telling that it is very difficult to predict, because it is a technology. If it is only human being, it is only based on human being and all, we can predict something else. But it is only based on technology, so that it is very difficult to predict that future. The very next day, we are going to see something else.
Yes.
And the next very day, after day after tomorrow or next week or next month, we are going to see something else new in the development of a technology.
That's
So
true.
that it is somewhat difficult to predict.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Dr. Srinath has asked, could you interpret AI and humanism? Is
AI
there?
and humanism. Okay.
Yes, and there is another question from Dr. Srinath. Is there cyber literature now?
Okay. First of all, AI is artificial intelligence. First of all, artificial intelligence, we know that a machine is able to do something else. Machine is able to speak, even speak. Okay. So that kind of speaking in the sense, some kind of a signals and so on. So that is what we call AI. And then humanism is nothing but we are dealing with only human emotions and human desires and predicaments and everything. So humanism is different, entirely different from AI. That is the thing. The another thing is cyber literature is nothing but a literary product which has the literary terms like cyberpunk, cyberspace, and cyborgs, and the internet technical terms. And we find that some www dot something like that. and then HTTP. So these things and these related terms are used in literature that becomes cyber literature. Okay, so it happens. It happens during actually in future also we find more on cyber literature because of the technological influence. We have more on cyber literature.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
The next question is by Risa. Can sci-fi novels be considered post-humanism literature?
Actually, that is sci-fi fiction, no science fiction. Science fiction is the base for post-humanism. That we must understand that. So it can be considered. It can be considered as post-humanist reading. So it is the basic. Science fiction is the basic because we are doing some imagination. Okay, we are doing some imagination, and we are living on the planet of various kinds. So these things are the very basic for this post-humanism. So we can consider that is also a kind of a post-human writing. Yes.
Okay, sir. Nikat Parvin has asked, in the post-humanism era, is tracing human subjectivity is possible or not?
Actually, it is very difficult question to answer. Human tracing that takes place in a very complicated situation only. So in the cyber, in the post-human era, it is very difficult. Actually, right now we are concocted with the machine and human beings. So in the case of feeling and in the case of emotion only, we are going to trace the humanity. But when we have much more development in development of technology and cyber culture and cyborg and what are system related things, no, we lack we lack to maintain humanity. In future, definitely we will lack humanity. We are going to search for like that we have so many novels like quest for identity and search for identity and a theme of searching for identity, something like that. We are doing some research on that particular thing, that is identity crisis. So like that here also we are going to have that identity crisis in the perspective of humanism. So that is the thing. Yes, ma'am, next question.
Uh, Sir Devi Prasad has asked, in this era, is it possible by any technology to read human emotion and frame a sentence in any language?
Yeah, it is possible because I explained to you the first generation of biometrics and the second generation of biometrics. In the second generation of biometrics, we find that a machine can identify a person by the order of a person. Okay, by order of a person, the skin texture, and so on. So, like that, through the words, say for example, alas, hooray, there are so many words are available which are referring to emotions. Along with the words which are referring to emotions, it is possible for machine to detect and to have human feelings and so on. It is possible.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Next question from Vikash Gopi. Is the term Anthropocene related to post-humanism in any way?
Yeah, it is Anthropocene that is related to the geographical condition. It is related to the geographical condition and the changes of geography and so on. So we human being are to using the technology to pollute the geography. Okay, we are using so many technologies. It may be the air pollution, it may be the geographical related issues and so on. So in that case, it is totally related to this post-humanism, that Anthropocene is totally related to the and that is post-humanism, because terraforming. I told you on the other day itself, on the very first day, I explained about terraforming. That is the artificial changes of environment,
Yes.
artificial changes and of clouds and artificial harvesting rain and so on. So it is related. Anthropocene is related to this post-humanism. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, the next question is by Arindam Sarkar. Is post-humanism harmful or beneficial in the age of global warming?
In the age of global warming,
Yes.
WRMING warming, in the age
Yes.
of global warming. Yeah, actually, in the this post-humanism is danger only. It is a danger to the global scenario and so on, because in the mission we find e-wastages. We find e-wastages, no? All the e-wastages, where are you going to dump it? It is very big question. It is a very, very big question. It is related to, what should I say, life of human beings. Okay, life of human beings. That is why, again, we will have a global warming because of the dumping of, that is the machine wastages and e-wastages and so on. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Malarvilli. What is pulp science?
Yeah, pulp science is actually in postmodern era. There was the pulp fiction. The pulp fiction is nothing but, yeah, fiction is easily available for everybody else. Okay, for anybody else across the globe, a fiction is available at the very low cost. Like that, here also we find science is also very easily available even for the illiterate person. Okay, so now we have a touch screen, touch mobile, and so on. Okay, anybody else can use that mobile phone. Okay, just they can touch it, just they can use the certain icons, certain symbols on the screen. So they can make use of that science, scientific development. So like that, hereafter, in future, all the people are going to make use of this scientific development. So this is what, see, say for example, to make use of a scientific development to, what should I say, the people must have possessed certain knowledge about science. Okay, they must have possessed certain knowledge about the science. They must have certain the practical knowledge about the computer and so on. But whereas in 21st century, people cannot have much more knowledge about the computer science. They do not have MSc in computer science, MSc in artificial intelligence, but they can make use of all the technical oriented things. That is what we call that pulp science, because it is readily and easily available for each and every person. Yes,
Thank you, sir. The next question is by Miss Dibya. Please
yes.
tell me about the role of language in post-humanism.
Actually, the role of language in post-humanism, hereafter we are going to have the machine languages. Machine languages only we are going to have that. The machine icons, the machine symbols related to things, we are going to have it. So it is very dangerous also, I am talking about that. So we have to reduce that machine language. But what right now we have that in future, there would be a very great study called machine learning. For everybody must have certain knowledge about the machine learning and so on. So in that case, if it comes across the globe, the language will be machine related. The language will be machine related. At the same time, we people of English language and literature must maintain the humanistic languages to maintain the humanity in the world. So that is the thing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
The
you.
next question is from Kundan Kumar. Sir, do you think science and humanities can create a new course like science fiction literature?
Science and fiction. Once again, could
Actually,
you please?
I think that we have science fiction, right?
Yeah, already we have science
We
fiction.
have already science fiction, but the question is, do
Yeah.
you think science and humanities can create a new course like science fiction literature?
Oh, like science fiction and literature. He said
Literature.
that any other new genre, is there any possibility? Is there any possible for a new genre like a science fiction, something like that, like a cyber culture and cyber literature, something like that?
Sure.
Yeah, definitely it would be. But who is going to coin the new term or a new genre? It is up to the readers, or it is up to the writer's imagination. It would be, as long as the scientific development is there. As long as the scientific development is there, a new term will be behind it. So that is the point.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, the next question is by Kavita Swaminathan. Can post-humanism be taken as an a dystopian literature? A dystopian literature.
Actually, it is dystopian literature is it is actually post-humanism is the what should I say is the result of the process of dystopian culture. Dystopia is nothing but the imaginary world. People are living in imagination. People are living in a hallucination. In that case, it is the process that is that this one dystopia is the process for post-humanism. So that is the point. Yes.
Thank you, sir. The next
Thank you.
question from Lena Anthony. What is the actual status of human being in this post-humanism era? Do we have any status?
Actually, the status is a very good question, and it is about the human concerned question. It's totally about the human concerning. Um, the status in the sense we can have that one proverb that is he is between the devil and deep blue sea. No, he is between the devil and the deep blue sea.
You see,
Like
yes.
that, yeah, like that. Human beings are in a predicament situation, whether to go by fully on this one machine or by human being like that. It is a kind of a, what should I say? Some confusion state. It is a kind of a confusion state. At the same time, they lose their own identity. Little by little, they are losing their own identity in the society when the advent of a scientific development.
The Dr. Sheila Raval has asked, uh, can you explain about cyborg and feminism? Is there any relation?
Yeah, very good question. The cyborg is nothing but a person who is assisted with the what should I say? Some machine. Okay, some
Basically,
machine.
half human, half machine.
Yeah, half human and a half machine. We can have that. It's like a bionics or something like that. Okay. So it is related to feminism. How I tell you that it is related to feminism. In this essay written by Donna Haraway, in her essay that is a cyborg manifesto, she talked about feminism and a cyborg. She talked about feminism and cyborg, and what she said is, I want to be a machine rather than a female. She says, by adoring us, by adoring a female as a mother, as a, what should I say, beautiful, as something like that, you are very, very kind enough. By adoring that, you are suppressing female. Okay, but rather being suppressed, I can be a machine in the world to live. So that is the point here. Cyborg is related to this feminism. Okay, so it is the point given by Donna Haraway in her essay called the Cyborg Manifesto. That is why I asked on the day itself, you please read that essay called the Cyborg Manifesto. At least the gist of Cyborg Manifesto you read. So that will be very, very insightful to you.
Thank you.
Yes. Next
Thank
question.
you,
Yes,
sir.
thank you.
Next question from Priya Balakrishnan. Harvest by Manjula Padmanabhan is purely based on post-humanism. What's the argument on it?
Argument on this if actually it is up to the a person who is opposing that is opposed to humanism. Okay, if a person is opposing post humanism, he can argue in which perspective the argument takes place. If she tells that in this particular aspect, in this particular concept, this particular argument takes place and all, I can give you the answer. But in general, she asked that what is the argument on this in the sense we must understand the real argument from her point of view. So that is the thing.
Okay, sir.
Are there any similarities between post-colonialism and post-humanism asked by Surinder Alam, sir?
Okay. Post humanism and colonialism.
And post-colonialism.
Colonialism or post colonialism?
Post-colonialism.
Post-colonialism.
Okay, post colonialism and post humanism.
Humanism.
Actually, post colonialism that comes after colonization. Okay, so that is the point. And after that, when we are living in a post-colonial era, we are talking against the colonizers by using their own language, okay, their own language and their own perspectives and their own attitude and so on. So, whereas post-humanism is entirely different from post-colonialism. Post-colonialism that talks about how people are suffered by colonizers in during the era of colonization. But whereas post-humanism, it is for all the people, irrespective of gender, irrespective of color, irrespective of race, irrespective of any other discrimination and so on. So that is the point. So it is entirely different. Post-colonialism is based on politics, first of all. That is the chromotopolitics, the politics of geography, the politics of race. But whereas post-humanism is based on only the technology and how we a single person can makes use of the technology and so. So that is the point. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Shrija Nandini has asked, do you think post-humanism at its peak gives birth to some other interesting genres?
What? Once again, please.
Actually, what she mentioned here is, now she has mentioned that post-humanism is at its peak. Will it give birth to some other interesting genres?
Yeah, definitely it will create. This particular post-humanism definitely will create new other genre. It depends on the new technology, first of all. If there is a technology, I told you, I showed that picture. Yeah, Robo is writing a Bible, no? Yes, it was writing a Bible. So we can baptize some other name. We can baptize that particular event by some other name. So it depends on the writer. So it will create a new genre, definitely.
So can you speak about time travel as one of post-humanism feature in literature asked by Kushbu Madam?
Okay, actually, time travel is one of the. She said that clearly. She answered that. Okay, it is a, what should I say? It is a kind of a rhetorical question. Okay, it is a kind of rhetorical question. In her question itself, there is an answer. That is, time travel is also one of the features in post-humanism. Okay, time travel is a kind of a dystopian way of narration. It is a kind of imaginary world. Okay, so it is one of the post-humanist features.
Yes.
Yes, the next question.
Next question from Priya Suki. Can we say that post-human era could be traced from the romantic era, as you mentioned in Frankenstein and his need for being treated equally?
Actually, it is not only that from romanticism. Okay, romanticism, it talks about what should I say, the beauty and emotion, and the normal person, an ordinary person must be given priority. That is the point. That is why William Wordsworth has written a poem called Leech Gatherer. Okay, that is the Leech Gatherer. That poem we did not read, and we are not aware of that. But it is only on the basis of an ordinary person. It is this post-humanism is not taken from this romantic era or romanticism. But whereas in the earlier ages also, if there was an entity called imagination, that the idea is conceived. Okay, so that is the point.
So this is a question by Anusha,
Yes.
who talks about cloning. Do you think that uh, machines can also be cloned, and post-humanism gets eradicated, and we completely depend on machines for everything?
Actually, machines can be cloned. It's not an issue. But when a human being is cloned, then we can't be the machine. Okay, machines can be cloned. It's not a problem at all. But if a machine is cloned, then the people will think in the further step. That is, they want to fix the human brain in the machine. So again, there will be a problem. Again, there will be a problem, and it will definitely overbeat human being. So it is a kind of a dangerous one.
Okay, so
We have to listen.
not
We
be
have
able
to
to
yes,
entirely
yes.
dependent on them. Like they will overcome, they will be superior to us in every way.
Yeah, definitely. In future, I'll tell you. In future, we are going to live with the robots. In future, definitely, we are going to live with robots. Robo will overdo what we do. It will overspeak what we speak. So that kind of thing it is going to happen in future. So that is why I tell you that lessen the research on robo, lessen the research on this machine learning and so on. So that is the only then we can maintain humanity, at least some sort of humanity. So in that case, hunger is the only thing which can demarcate between a man and machine, not even emotions. But for emotions, the robo also can have it. But the hunger, no. What is the hunger for robo? Only the charge.
Yes.
Okay, only the charge or low battery and so on. That's all. But whereas human beings, we feel within ourselves we have a hunger, isn't it? The only thing which will demarcate between robo and human being is our hunger.
Exactly.
Yes.
This question is from Priyadarshini. In Paulo's novel Vasigalupi, the wind-up girl, the girl is a genetically modified being. Whether the
Okay.
girl can be called as post-human or transhuman.
Yeah, very critical question.
Critical
Yeah,
question.
very critical question. That is goes to human whether that cloned baby is a girl, cloned girl is
Girl,
goes to human or transhuman.
transhuman.
Actually, uh, transhumanism is the process of becoming post-humanism. Okay, so cloning is the process. So in that process, that baby is transhumanist. Okay, after the production is over, that the cloning production is over, that baby or the girl becomes post-human. Yes, whatever the product no, it is cloned, that is post-human era. That particular baby is living in post-human era. Yes,
Savita,
really, I like this question.
if I may, we'll have a final question. Uh,
Yes. That's
this,
all.
this
After that, there is no more questions.
yes,
Only the final question. Okay.
there are two questions, sir. I'll just ask it as one.
Okay.
This is by Sompurba Basu and Santi Vincent. Ms.
Okay.
Basu is asking, what is the impact of post-human era on the proletariat? Does it bring
Mm,
a dystopian society? And
mm, mm.
Santi Vincent is ending by saying, do you think that finally we'll be able to live a happy life like our
Mm.
ancestors in
Is
this?
this post-human essay or a question? Oh, this is yes, question. Okay, question.
So what is the
Question.
impact of post-human era?
Yeah, very good, very
Does it
good.
bring about a
Actually, yes.
dystopian society?
Okay, okay. Actually, this is he asks from the perspective of Marxian thought. Okay, Marxism. Proletarian is the concept from Marxian ideology. Actually, it is talking about the what should I say? The waged people. Okay, the waged people. The people they have their source is only the labor. They have only the labor. They depend on their labor. So these people they find it very difficult to compete with the post-human era because they are not what should I say accustomed to make use of technology. They are not accustomed to make use of that technical oriented machines and so on. So in that case, they find it very difficult. That proletarian group they find it very difficult to survive in the society of a post-human era.
I
Yes.
think the final question is relevant to all of us as asked by Santi Vincent, because she's saying that will we be able to live, a happy life like our ancestors in this era? I think it is not possible. So, in your opinion, what do you think?
Actually, in their what should I say? in those days, when her ancestors were living, there was a question whether they were living happily or not. Okay, there was a question whether they were living happily or not. So each and every era, it has its own problematic situations, and so on. But what I tell you is, hereafter, to some extent, how their grandparents were living somewhat happiness. Okay, it is very difficult hereafter to lead our life. What should I say? With the full of happiness, it is very difficult, because knowingly or unknowingly, we are addicted and we are accustomed to make use of technology. So in that case, it is very difficult.
Thank you so much, sir. With that, we come to the end of this Q&A session.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Over to Savita ma'am for the
Yes.
final the comments and note of thanks to.
Thank you so much, sir. You have spent your time, precious time. Once again, you have come to us and you have clarified all the doubts asked by the participants. We are so happy to
Thank
be
you.
associated with you, and we would like to hear from you more and more in future.
Oh,
Uh,
definitely.
thank you
Definitely.
so
Thank you, madam.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you. Yes,
Uh,
sir.
yes, we can and go ahead.
What's your question, sir?
No,
What's
sir.
your question?
Sir, this topic is completely new and complex to me. Till I can research more on it, I cannot ask any questions. My
Oh, okay.
my
What
only my only
should
question
we
would be
start
like,
reading now hereafter?
yes,
Yes,
as
go
we
ahead.
spoke earlier, you spoke about that it's going to be a danger to the human society, and only
Yeah.
this is my
Yeah.
only concern and worry, because when we research more into this, it is obvious and evident that if a machine is going to take over the things which we do and our entire life, our purpose on this earth is no more, no, sir. So that is so, it is impossible to
Actually,
imagine.
the address of earth is going to be lost. I'll tell you.
Yes,
The address of earth, the address of humanity, the address of happy life, everything is going to be lost if we have more on post-humanism, if we depend more on scientific technology. But it is very difficult. But I tell you, it is very difficult to get rid of technology from our life. But we have to lessen. That's why I am telling that from the beginning itself, we have to lessen the technology, the use of technology.
yes, yes, sir.
So with this, really, I am very much happy to have these many questions on my particular session. Really, I am very happy to have answered all the questions given by the participants and so on. So
Thank
again,
you
I
so much
thank
for your
Dr. Walter and Dr. Savita and Dr. Rema for having given this again one more chance, and it's like a webinar, I think so. One more a short webinar. Okay.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, madam. Thank you.